The garage door wouldn't open. That was the first sign something was off. I had been gone 6 months, security work overseas, private detail in Qatar, and the garage code should have still worked. But the blinking red light told me it had been changed. I parked out front and stood in the driveway, my boots crunching on gravel, my bag still slung over my shoulder. The porch light was off. That was odd, too. Knew my wife, Kiera, always left it on when I was away. It was her way of saying, come home safe. I'm waiting. Tonight? No light. No note. No car in the driveway. I let myself in through the side door using my old key, still worked. House was quiet. Too quiet. The scent hit me first. Lavender. Not the kind Kiera usually used for cleaning, but the waxy sweetness of those overpriced boutique candles she only lit on self-care nights. A detail I wouldn't have noticed years ago, but I'd had a lot of time to think lately. There were 2 wine glasses on the coffee table. One full, one empty with a faint red lip print on the rim. I didn't rush. Just stood there, taking in the quiet flicker of the television on mute, the slightly ajar bedroom door upstairs, the unmistakable sound of 2 voices, low, intimate, unaware. I heard Kiera laugh. That soft, forced laugh she used when she wanted someone to believe she was charmed. Then a male voice. Not loud. Confident. I stepped back, toward the front door. Not because I was scared. Not even angry. Not yet. What hit me wasn't panic or heartbreak. It was clarity. Cold, quiet clarity. Something was happening, and the worst thing I could do was interrupt it without understanding it fully. I left the house. Sat in the truck for a few minutes. No radio. No calls. Just thinking. This wasn't about a moment. This was about a pattern. A plan. Something deeper than infidelity. You don't bring someone into your marital bed unless you're already finished being a wife. So I made a decision. I drove to the one person who'd understand how to handle this, Briggs. Retired MP, now runs a private security firm and works from his detached garage like he's still in the field. Briggs answered the door in a t-shirt and flannel pants, coffee in hand. You're supposed to be in Qatar, he said. Change of plans, I replied. I need access to data. Social profiles. Phone logs. Maybe traffic cams. He didn't ask questions. Just nodded and motioned me inside. 2 hours later, we were looking at a folder on Kiera's iCloud that was definitely not meant to be public. Vacations I hadn't been told about. A picture of her at a spa in Vermont when she told me she was at a teacher's conference. And one photo that made my jaw clench, a blurry mirror selfie, hotel bathroom, taken late at night. She wasn't alone. I didn't see his face, but I saw the reflection of his hand. Large. Tanned. A wedding band. I said nothing. Briggs looked over. You sure you want to dig? I nodded. I'm not here to make a scene. I'm here to collect facts. The next day, I played dumb. Let her think I was still overseas. Called her from a burner phone using a scrambled number. She didn't pick up. Texted me back 2 hours later. Sorry, in meetings all day. Talk soon? Meetings. I opened the home security feed I'd secretly routed to my phone while she was sleeping months ago. She was in the kitchen, wearing that silk robe I bought her for our anniversary. She never wore it unless someone was watching. Someone was watching. Later that night, I parked a block away from the house and waited. A black Lexus SUV pulled up around 9:40. Out stepped a man in his late 40s. Broad shoulders. Confident stride. He walked up to the front door like he'd done it 100 times. She opened before he even knocked. She was expecting him. I filmed the whole thing. No confrontation. Just documentation. No chaos. Just intel. This wasn't going to be a fight. It was going to be a case file. The next morning, I made pancakes. Kiera came downstairs in leggings and an old college sweatshirt, acting like everything was fine. She kissed my cheek like it meant something and asked, "You want juice or coffee?" I just looked at her. "Coffee's fine." She smiled and turned back to the fridge. "You look tired. Was the flight brutal?" I didn't answer. I watched her instead. Every move was too smooth, too casual. Like she was overcompensating. "You didn't tell me you were coming home early," she said without looking up. I figured it'd be a nice surprise. Well, it was. Was it? I waited until she took a sip of coffee and sat across from me. There were 2 wine glasses on the table last night. She didn't flinch. I had Paige over. She needed to talk. "Paige. My coworker. You've met her." "No. I haven't." She blinked, paused just long enough. "Well, she was here. You can ask her." I nodded slowly. "Sure. I will." The rest of breakfast was silence. She scrolled her phone like she wasn't sitting across from a loaded gun. I studied her. She was calm. Too calm. After she left for work, I called Briggs. Start pulling her text logs. Look for a number that pops up every night between 9 and midnight. Already on it, he said. Also, that SUV? Plates are registered to Denton Realty Group. Marcus Denton? That's the guy. Married. 2 kids. Lives in South Freeport. I let that sit for a second. How long? Hard to tell. But based on the patterns, at least 4 months. They're not being discreet. That night, Kiera suggested we go out to eat. We haven't had a real date night in forever, she said, running a hand down my arm. I want to reconnect. I said yes. We went to a small place downtown. Booth in the back. Low lights. She wore the same perfume she hadn't touched in months. Lipstick. Earrings I bought her for Christmas 3 years ago. The whole show. Over dinner, she asked about my trip. About the weather in Qatar. I answered everything truthfully. Because lying is her game. Not mine. Back at home, I waited until she was asleep. Then I opened her laptop. She was logged into everything. No passwords changed. That's how confident she was. I searched for his name, Marcus. Then M. Then keywords. Nothing obvious. But in the trash folder? A reservation confirmation for a corporate suite at a downtown hotel dated 3 weeks ago. Name on the confirmation, Riley J. She used my name. The same card we used to pay for Gracie's summer camp was now paying for a night with him. I screenshotted everything. Emails. Room numbers. Her message to the concierge, please ensure privacy. We'll need late checkout. I closed the laptop quietly and returned to bed. She shifted in her sleep, rolled toward me. Her leg touched mine. I didn't move. The next day, I visited Briggs. He had already started mapping the financial trail, consulting invoices sent to her email. All from shell companies. All routed to Denton Realty. This isn't just an affair, he said. They're running money through you. She's signing off as co-authority on your account. How much? About 67 grand in the last 5 months. My name. My liability. Their operation. She's covering his tracks, Briggs said. You're the camouflage. I nodded. Then we make her visible. That night, I made dinner. Pasta, salad, garlic bread. Kiera walked in from yoga, hair perfect, makeup still set. You cooked? She asked, pleasantly surprised. Figured we could try normal for once. She smiled. I like that. Over dinner, she mentioned how we should take a trip. Just you and me. Like before. We need it. I'll think about it, I said. I watched how she played the part. Sweet. Soft. Suggestive. But I knew what was behind the curtain. And soon, she'd know what it felt like when that curtain drops, publicly, permanently. Because I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to bury. 2 days later, I planted the recorder. Tiny, motion-activated, disguised as a smart home plug near the kitchen. Briggs supplied it. Said it was military grade. Good for picking up quiet voices even with background noise. You sure you want audio? He asked me when I installed it. I want her voice lying on tape, I said. No more guessing. That same night, I let her believe I was out with a buddy from the Marines. Told her I'd be home late. Instead, I sat in Briggs' garage, sipping black coffee and watching the live feed from the recorder. It didn't take long. At 8:44 p.m., the front door opened. He walked in. Marcus Denton, in a windbreaker and loafers, like he'd just come from a board meeting. He kissed her before the door even shut. Kiera's laugh echoed through the speakers. You're late. Got held up. Kid's pickup ran over. You're lucky I'm still dressed. Dressed was putting it lightly. From the camera angle, I saw her in the navy silk robe I hadn't seen since our 3rd anniversary. She wore it then because she said it made her feel like a woman. Now she wore it for him. They sat in the kitchen. Wine glasses clinked. I heard him say, You sure he doesn't suspect? Not a clue, she said. He's still playing the good husband. Cooking dinner. Asking about my day. It's adorable, really. He laughed. It's almost too easy. Then the part that changed everything. Marcus said, once the final payment hits, I'll shift the rest into the side account. Then we're clear. No more paper trail. And the house, she asked. You'll refinance it under your name. Use the equity to clear the debts. He won't even notice it's gone. He's so damn trusting, Kiera said, almost like she pitied me. He signs anything I put in front of him. I stared at the screen for a long time. Briggs didn't speak. Then I said, We don't just need more evidence. We need a witness. Briggs nodded. I know someone. The next morning, while she was in the shower, I pulled her folder from the home office drawer. Inside were our mortgage papers, some receipts, bank records, basic stuff. Except it wasn't basic. I found 3 new loan documents, co-signed under my name. One of them showed a cash-out refinance, the kind that drains equity from a property. The bank had already processed it. It wasn't just an affair anymore. She was building a new life using my credit, my signature, my house. That afternoon, Briggs called. I've got a name. Ava. Used to be Marcus' assistant. Left the company 3 months ago after a weird exit. Think she saw too much. Can she talk? She's angry. And she's clean. We met her at a cafe outside Yarmouth. She was cautious, nervous at first, but the moment I showed her the screenshot of one invoice, her face changed. That's him, she said. That's his shell company. He'd route consulting fees through there. But your wife, she was in on it. How do you know? I processed the wires. She'd call. Use a voice modulator sometimes. But I knew it was her. I recognized the tone. She'd say things like, get it done before he sees. I didn't know what she meant until now. I slid a small recorder across the table. Would you say that again? She looked me dead in the eye. Sure. We left with a 5-minute recording of her naming Kiera and Marcus directly. Enough to start a fraud case. At home that night, Kiera smiled like she always did. Kiss me on the cheek. Dinner's on the stove, she said. I made that stew you like. I looked at the pot. I looked at her. She thought I was still blind. She had no idea I'd already opened the window behind her facade. She had no idea her voice was now part of an investigation. She had no idea that the next time she lied to my face, a judge would be listening too, and I'd make sure the entire town heard the verdict. 2 mornings later, a letter arrived from the bank. Thin envelope. Harmless looking. Inside? Notice of overdraft protection being activated due to a $14,000 wire transfer to an entity named Blue Rise Consulting. I hadn't authorized it. I sat at the kitchen table, letter in one hand, coffee untouched. Kiera walked in, towel wrapped around her head. You okay? I didn't look up. Did we hire a consulting firm? She paused. Just a breath. What? This company, Blue Rise. 14 grand just went to them. From our joint account. She laughed. Light, airy. Babe, that's part of the Refi package. It's bundled under services. I told you about it. You did. Yeah. She moved closer. Remember? I said we'd need a few signatures for the financial adjustment. You nodded. Maybe you don't remember. You were tired. I looked up. Did I sign anything? You must have. I submitted the paperwork weeks ago. I didn't blink. Right. She kissed my head. Don't worry about it. It's handled. As soon as she left for work, I drove to Briggs. He laid the papers out like a battlefield map. Signatures, transfer logs, metadata. 3 companies, he said. All connected to Marcus. And your name's on every authorization. That's forgery. Not technically. It's digital. They used your login. They'll say it was you unless we prove otherwise. I pointed at one signature. This one's dated when I was out of the country. Use that. Briggs nodded. We'll get a timestamp log from your VPN activity overseas. Cross it with the IP that authorized this transfer. He paused, then added, we also found a voice note. He clicked play. Hear his voice. Once the refinance clears, the house is mine. He's too wrapped in his own head to notice. He's used to war zones, not home turf. Marcus, let him watch it fall. He built it for us. Briggs watched my face. Still want to go quiet? No, I said. It's time she starts sweating. That night, I brought flowers home. Kiera raised an eyebrow. What's this? Just felt like it. She tilted her head. You're acting different lately. Different how? Quiet. Like you're always waiting. I smiled. Maybe I'm just tired. She came around the table, wrapped her arms around my neck. Maybe we should take that trip. You and me. No work. No distractions. I'd like that, I said. Somewhere with no cell signal. She laughed. You're serious? I nodded. Dead serious. That weekend, we went to a cabin in the White Mountains. She booked it herself, all smiles and second chances. Said she wanted to reset things. She had no idea I'd already rerouted the cabin's Wi-Fi through a secure node. Every message she sent, I could trace. Every call? Monitored. On the second night, she stepped outside to call her sister. Instead, she called Marcus. I recorded the whole thing. Her words, he's being weird. Quiet. But I think I've got him back. We'll push the next transfer when we're home. His voice, after that, we ghost him. The call ended. She walked back inside like nothing happened. Later that night, I sat beside her in front of the fire. She leaned her head on my shoulder and whispered, "I miss this." I looked at the flames. "Yeah," I said. "I miss knowing who you were too." She didn't catch it, but she would. Because when we got back home, I called my lawyer. A quiet man named Fields, ex-IRS, now running a boutique firm that handled sensitive corporate cases. After showing him the data, the logs, and the recorded calls, he nodded once and said, "This isn't just a divorce. It's a takedown. We filed a fraud report. Frozen accounts. Motion to separate assets based on financial misconduct." Then we waited. 3 days later, she received a court summons. She came into the room holding the envelope. "What is this?" "Read it," I said. Her eyes scanned the text. "You're suing me?" "No," I said flatly. "I'm exposing you." She laughed, but it was hollow. "You think this'll stick?" "I don't think," I said. "I know." Her eyes narrowed. "You don't scare me." "Good," I said. Because the truth should. The first court hearing was set for a Monday. I didn't wear my uniform. Just a navy blazer, pressed shirt, and a silence that made more noise than shouting ever could. Kiera showed up late, flanked by a new attorney, expensive suit, cheap confidence. She didn't even glance at me. She sat with her legs crossed like she was at brunch, not about to be confronted with her own lies. Her lawyer opened with a well-rehearsed performance. "Mr. Riley has a documented history of trauma, emotional withdrawal, and erratic behavior. Our client believes he is currently unfit to cohabitate with their child until further psychological evaluation." No mention of theft. No mention of fraud. Just the old, tired card, damaged veteran. My attorney, Fields, waited until they finished their show. Then he handed a flash drive to the judge. "Your Honor," he said, "this contains voice recordings, financial documentation, and digital correspondence demonstrating not only an extramarital affair but active conspiracy to commit financial fraud under Mr. Riley's identity." The judge didn't blink, just nodded. "We'll review it in chambers. Recess until tomorrow." Outside the courtroom, Kiera stopped me by the elevator. "You had someone record me?" I looked her in the eye. "No. I had you recorded." "You're insane." I pressed the elevator button and said nothing. The next day, the judge admitted the recordings as evidence. The voice was unmistakable. Her voice. Calm. Strategic. Confessing without even knowing it. Marcus Denton was named directly. 3 counts. Shell transfers, false billing, identity misuse. Kiera's smile cracked. She looked at her lawyer like he'd betrayed her. He leaned in, whispered something, but she didn't hear it. She was too busy trying to figure out which lie had just collapsed. Back home, I waited for her to implode. She did. 3 nights after the hearing, she showed up unannounced. No knock. Just walked in like the house was still hers. I was in the living room, drinking tea, watching nothing on the muted TV. "I want to talk," she said. I didn't get up. She stayed standing. "You think you're some kind of hero now?" "No," I said. "I think I'm done being the fool." She scoffed. "You're not clean either. You're just better at pretending." I stood slowly, walked past her, into the kitchen. "You didn't come here to talk," I said. "You came here hoping I'd be angry enough to say something you could twist in court." She followed. "That's what you think of me? That's what you've shown me." She went quiet. Then, softly, "I was lonely." I looked at her. "You weren't lonely. You were opportunistic." She gritted her teeth. "Marcus said you'd spin this." I smiled. "Marcus also said he'd walk away clean." Want to know what he told his assistant? I slid a folder across the counter. Inside, transcript of a conversation between Marcus and his second mistress. "Ava gave us everything." Kiera flipped through the pages. He'd called her temporary leverage. Said she was useful for now. Her hands trembled. "You think this clears you?" she hissed. "No," I said. "But it shows who you trusted. And who used you." That night, she left without slamming the door. Small sign, but a sign. 2 days later, the story hit local news. Regional developer tied to fraud scheme. Marcus's photo on every screen. By evening, his company website was down. His accounts frozen. His wife? Filed for divorce the next morning. Kiera called me 3 times. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. "You don't know what you've started." She was wrong. I knew exactly what I'd started. And I was nowhere near finished. Because the house still smelled like her perfume. The bedroom still had that drawer full of memories. And the bear in our daughter's room still had a camera inside. Motion activated. The next time she came by, she made a phone call while in the kitchen. Whispered into the phone, "As long as I play the good mom, they'll hand her to me. Just be patient." The bear heard it all. Briggs emailed me the file the next morning. Subject line, "In-game loaded." The courtroom was packed. Press had caught wind of the Denton investigation, and now every set of eyes was on the woman who once walked through town like she owned it. Kiera entered in a black suit and oversized sunglasses, flanked by a new lawyer, third one in as many weeks. Her face was pale under the makeup. Her posture wasn't arrogance anymore. It was fear, disguised as composure. I sat on the opposite bench, motionless. Fields leaned toward me. "This is the day. Just sit still." The judge called the session to order and immediately addressed Kiera's team. "We have reviewed the financial exhibits. The defendant's access to the plaintiff's accounts, use of digital authorization under questionable consent, and direct communication regarding fraudulent transfers have been verified." Her lawyer stood. "Your Honor, we assert that Mrs. Riley was manipulated, pressured by Mr. Denton under false pretenses. She lacked full knowledge of the legal implications." The judge raised an eyebrow. "So the voice recordings of her discussing intentional misdirection are, what? Edited?" "No, Your Honor, but it. We'll move forward." Then came the blow. Fields called a witness. The side door opened, and in walked Ava, the former assistant. Hair in a low bun, plain blouse, no flair. Just truth. She took the stand. "I processed multiple payments through fake vendors under Marcus Denton's orders." He referenced Mrs. Riley directly, often calling her the one who gets her husband to sign anything. Kiera didn't move, didn't blink. Ava continued. "I also personally heard Marcus say, and I quote, 'We shift everything to the husband's name, and if it explodes, it hits him.'" A rustle swept through the room. Then Fields brought out the bear. Held it up. This object recorded a conversation between Mrs. Riley and an unknown male contact, in which she explicitly states intent to mislead the court regarding custody. Kiera's lawyer objected. "Your Honor, that was a private conversation. It took place in the plaintiff's home," the judge said, "under legal surveillance." Audio played. Her voice, soft but clear. "He's playing the stable dad, but once I get the house, I'll clean the money and push him out." The room turned cold. Her lawyer whispered something urgently, but Kiera just stared ahead like she'd stopped processing. Then the judge spoke again. "In light of this, all financial motions by Mrs. Riley are suspended pending further criminal investigation. Custody of the minor child will remain with Mr. Riley under supervised visitation by the mother." Kiera flinched. Not visibly, but I saw her jaw tighten. After court, she tried to approach me outside, cameras everywhere. "John, wait." I turned slowly. "You don't get to talk now. You've said enough. The judge heard you. So did everyone else." She glanced at the reporters. "This wasn't supposed to happen." "No," I said. "It was supposed to stay hidden. That's what bothers you." That night, I read Gracie a bedtime story. She asked, "Is Mommy coming back soon?" I paused. "She'll see you sometimes. But right now, Daddy's got you. Did Mommy make a mistake?" I nodded. "Yeah, a few." She curled into my side. "But we're okay?" I kissed her head. "We're better than okay." Meanwhile, Kiera made one final move. She filed a protective order against me, claimed I was unstable, manipulative, and using military-style surveillance to intimidate her. The court rejected it the next morning. No evidence, just desperation. Fields laughed when he read the notice. "She's spinning out. She's trying to reset the narrative," I said. "But she's out of pages," he replied. And she was. Because what she didn't know, what I hadn't told her yet, was that Denton had already flipped. In a sealed affidavit, he confessed to organizing the fraud, naming her as a knowing participant and the one who suggested my identity be used as financial cover. That affidavit was filed under seal. Until the next hearing. And when it was unsealed, the last mask would come off. The hearing room was silent as the judge unfolded the sealed affidavit. Kiera sat across the aisle, back rigid, hands clenched on the table. No more sunglasses. No more makeup. Just a woman stripped of posture and plan, waiting for a mercy that wasn't coming. The judge read aloud. "Marcus Denton, under oath, has stated, Kiera Riley advised me to reroute payments under her husband's identity. She was fully aware of the laundering process. She selected vendors. She authorized each step. Kiera didn't flinch, but I saw her breathing shift shallow and fast." The judge continued. "We also have documented conversations, verified transactions, and forensic analysis tying Mrs. Riley directly to shell account activity used to siphon $67,000 from the couple's joint finances. This constitutes conspiracy to commit fraud, identity misuse, and attempted financial erasure of the plaintiff. He looked up. Mrs. Riley, do you have anything to say before I make this official? Her voice cracked as she stood. I was manipulated. The judge cut her off. You weren't manipulated. You were strategic. And now, you're accountable. Then he turned to me. Mr. Riley, custody remains with you permanently. Supervised visitation for Mrs. Riley is revoked pending criminal charges. Civil motion for asset protection is granted in full. No cheer from me. No nod. I simply stood, gathered my folder, and walked out without looking back. Outside, cameras were waiting. One reporter called out, John, any comment on the verdict? I kept walking. Gracie was waiting in the car with my sister. I got in, kissed her forehead. You okay, kiddo? Yeah, she said. Can we get pancakes? I smiled. Absolutely. Back at the house, she colored quietly at the table while I cooked. The silence felt different now. Not empty. Clean. And then, 3 days later, the final curtain dropped. Footage surfaced, leaked, most likely by Denton's legal team, showing Kiera entering the Denton Realty office just hours before the fire. Surveillance had caught it all. Within 24 hours, she was arrested. Arson. Obstruction. Evidence destruction. The headline was everywhere. Developer's mistress in custody following fraud scandal, office blaze. I didn't watch the news that night. Gracie and I built a blanket fort in the living room. She called it Fort Safe. I didn't argue. Weeks passed. And then came the sentencing. I didn't attend in uniform. Just a gray shirt, black coat. No medals. I didn't need symbols. She already knew what I'd survived. Kiera was brought in wearing beige prison clothes. Wrist chained. Her eyes darted around the courtroom but never met mine. The judge read the charges. 3 counts of conspiracy, 1 count of financial identity theft, 1 count of arson. Sentence, 15 years. No parole before 6. She didn't cry. Just blinked, slow, disconnected. Like someone watching the movie of her own life unravel. When they let her out, she turned. Just for a second. I held her gaze. Then turned away. No words. No satisfaction. Because this was never about revenge. It was about freedom. Back home, I stood in the garage, sanding a piece of cedar for Gracie's new bookshelf. My phone buzzed, a call from an unknown number. I answered. It was her. Kiera, I said flatly. I only get 1 call a week, she said. I picked this one. Why? I guess. I thought maybe you'd scream. Maybe I wanted that. I didn't speak. She continued, softer now. I was wrong about you. About everything. I thought I was in control. You were, I said. That was the problem. A pause. I'm sorry. You're not, I replied. You're just tired of the wait. I don't expect forgiveness. You won't get it from me. But maybe from Gracie. Someday. I exhaled. You want that chance? Then start telling the truth. 1 lie at a time. Until none are left. She whispered, okay. The line went dead. That night, I folded a piece of Gracie's new drawing. A house, a tree, 2 stick figures holding hands. Written underneath. Me and Dad. Just us. Still standing. I slipped it into a folder marked later. No tears. No speeches. Just a man, his daughter, and a house no longer haunted by secrets. This wasn't a win. This was the reckoning. And as for Kiera, she's not a villain. Not to the world. But she is to me. The mask has fallen. No more cameras needed.